Welcome to this special explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the actual psychology behind building wealth. We're going to completely transform how you look at every single dollar you make. We so often think of money as just, well, numbers, formulas, and math. But the truth? Wealth is heavily dictated by your mindset, your fears, your greed, and your own personal history. So let's kick things off with a question that might make you just a little uncomfortable. Do you manage your money, or does it manage you? Because today we are tearing down the illusion that money is just about what's sitting in your bank account. If you've ever laid awake at night wondering if you're making a terrible financial mistake, or if you've looked at someone else's investments and thought they are absolutely crazy, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's uncover the invisible forces that are actually controlling our wallets. Section 1, money isn't math, it's psychology. To really get this, we have to start by busting the biggest myth out there, the idea that anyone making a bad financial decision is just crazy or uneducated. Just look at this profound difference. Two people can look at the exact same economic data and make totally opposite choices. Why? Because their financial worldviews are built on completely different generational traumas. Imagine a kid growing up in the 1930s during the Great Depression. He literally watches his family lose everything. To him, the stock market isn't an opportunity, it represents starvation and ruin. Decades later, even in a booming economy, he's going to bury his money in the safest bonds imaginable. Now flip that. Think about a kid born in the 1970s who only watches the market climb and create millionaires. To him, it's a golden ticket. Neither of them is crazy, they're just reading from completely different scripts written by their own life experiences. We don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet, we make them based on the emotional scars of our past. And honestly, this perfectly explains the lottery ticket paradox. Why do the poorest people in society spend billions on lottery tickets? Outside observers look at that and go, that is terrible math. The odds are millions to one. But psychologically, it makes perfect sense to them. If you're trapped in a low-paying job with zero prospect of ever buying a home or taking a real vacation, a lottery ticket isn't a mathematical bet. It is the only way you can buy a momentary glimpse of the dream life wealthy people already enjoy. They are quite literally buying hope. Once you grasp that, you stop judging people's financial decisions and you start understanding their psychology. Section 2, luck, risk, and greed. These are the elements that successful people absolutely hate to admit exist, yet they form the very foundation of our financial reality. We love to attribute success purely to hard work, right? But we completely ignore the massive, invisible hands of luck and risk. Take this staggering comparison. On one hand, we have young Bill Gates. He happened to attend Lakeside School, which was one of the only schools in the entire world in 1968 that had a computer. The odds of a high schooler having that kind of access were roughly 1 in 300 million. That stroke of immense luck propelled Microsoft into existence. But then there's a story history basically forgot. Kent Evans. Kent was Gates' best friend and coding partner. He had the exact same genius, the exact same drive, and the exact same access. But Kent experienced the brutal flip side of the coin, risk. He tragically died in a mountaineering accident before graduation, facing odds of about 1 in a million. Both boys had the same talent, but one was propelled by the ultimate luck, while the other was struck by the ultimate risk. And even if you do survive the game of luck and risk, you can still be utterly destroyed by greed. Take a look at these two brilliant minds. Rajat Gupta was a highly respected CEO worth $100 million, but he hung around billionaires and felt, well, inadequate. So, to bridge that gap, he engaged in insider trading, ended up in prison, and lost his reputation forever. Then you have Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest traders in history. He made $100 million during the 1929 stock market crash, when everyone else was losing their shirts. But he couldn't stop. He just kept betting, kept pushing, and eventually went completely bankrupt and took his own life. Both men ruined themselves for one simple reason. They never defined what the word enough meant. So ask yourself, are your financial goals based on having more than the person next to you? If they are, you are running a race that will inevitably end in exhaustion and ruin. It's the social comparison trap, and it is a bottomless pit. You get a nice car, you look at the guy with the sports car. You get the sports car, you look at the guy with a private jet. To build real wealth, you literally have to draw a hard line in the sand and know what is enough for you and your family's peace of mind. Section 3, the magical effect of compounding. Now we're shifting gears from the psychological traps of money to the most powerful yet wildly misunderstood wealth-building tool in the entire universe. Albert Einstein famously called compounding the eighth wonder of the world. But why is it so hard for us to grasp? Well, it's because our brains are naturally wired to think linearly. We think if we take one step, we move 1 foot. But compounding is exponential. And because it starts off so incredibly slow, almost everyone gives up on this wonder of the world right before the magic actually happens. Think about it like this. If I offered you $1 million right now, or a single penny that doubles every day for 30 days, most people take the million. Why? Just look at day 10 on this timeline. Your penny has only grown to $5.14. Feel like a total fool. You are deep in what psychologists call the valley of disappointment. But watch how that single penny transforms. By day 20, you have $5,000. And if you just have the patience to hold on until day 30, that sheer power of time creates an absolute explosion of wealth, leaving you with over $10 million. Warren Buffett's real secret isn't just picking good stocks, it's that he started investing at age 10 and literally never stopped compounding his time. Section 4, getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Let's dive into this massive paradigm shift because it's absolutely crucial. The very skills you just used to make your money will actually destroy your money if you don't adapt. This stark contrast right here is exactly why so many lottery winners and overnight successes go broke. Getting wealthy requires you to be aggressive, optimistic, and to take massive risks. You have to believe you can beat the odds. But once you actually have the money, the game completely flips. Staying wealthy requires the exact opposite. It requires humility, a healthy dose of fear, and a mindset purely focused on survival. People go broke because they keep using that aggressive, getting wealthy mindset instead of switching to the paranoid, staying wealthy mindset. Which brings us right back to Warren Buffett. His true genius isn't his aggression, it's his deep-seated fear of losing capital. His legendary rules, Rule 1, never lose money, and Rule 2, never forget Rule 1, force him to always maintain a massive margin of safety. He doesn't sit around asking, how much can I make? He asks, if everything goes totally wrong, can I survive? Because survival is the ultimate key to staying wealthy. Section 5. Real wealth is invisible. And this brings us to the biggest illusion modern society has ever sold us about what being rich actually looks like. Consider the absolute contrast here. Ronald Reed was a janitor. He pumped gas, he swept floors, he lived simply, saved quietly, and when he died, the world was utterly shocked to learn he had a net worth of $8 million. On the flip side, you have Richard Viscone, a highly educated Harvard executive and investment banker. He lived in an 11-room mansion, threw massive parties, and spent absolutely everything to look rich. But when the 2008 financial crisis hit, that flashy banker lost everything and went bankrupt, while the invisible janitor died a multimillionaire. The takeaway? Rich is what you see, the cars and the houses. Wealth is what you don't see, the unspent money, the investments, the freedom. This leads perfectly into the man in the car paradox. When you see a roaring $500,000 sports car drive by, you don't look at the driver and think, wow, that guy is amazing. No way. You look at the car and think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I was amazing. Buying luxury goods to earn respect is completely pointless because you actually become invisible. People are just ignoring you and projecting their own desires onto your expensive stuff. True respect is earned through humility, character, and empathy. Just look at Ingvar Kamprad, the billionaire founder of IKEA. The guy could have bought fleets of private jets, right? Instead, he drove a 15-year-old Volvo, flew economy, and ate with his employees. He proved that keeping your wealth invisible is the ultimate power move. And the secret to building this invisible wealth is astonishingly simple. It's your savings rate. Think back to the 1970s energy crisis. The world was terrified we were running out of oil. The solution wasn't to magically find more oil. The solution was to build machines and cars that were more energy efficient. They saved their way out of the crisis. Just like that, you build wealth by increasing your savings rate and living efficiently, not just by constantly chasing a higher salary to find an ever more expensive lifestyle. Section 6. The ultimate goal, freedom. We've reached the final piece of the puzzle, answering the most important question of all. What is the actual point of accumulating all this invisible wealth? Decades of psychological research on elderly people reveal a terrifying yet incredibly clarifying truth. When looking back on their entire lives, no one at the very end cares about the brand of their car. Nobody wishes they had spent more time at the office just to buy a bigger house. They only weep for the time they gave away to others. They wish they had spent time watching their kids grow or just being with their partner. The ultimate regret is a lack of control over their own time. And this is exactly where money serves its true purpose.
The absolute highest dividend money pays isn't a luxury item. It is the ability to wake up every single morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. Your unspent money, that invisible wealth sitting quietly in your bank account, is a powerful shield. It buys you choices. It allows you to walk away from a toxic boss or quit a soul-crushing job because your survival is already completely guaranteed.
So, I want to leave you with this final, challenging thought. The very next time you are tempted to spend your hard earned money just to impress people who are honestly too busy worrying about themselves to care about you, ask yourself this: are you willing to trade the very limited, precious time of your life for it? Because when you finally master the psychology of money, you stop using it to buy things and you start using it to buy back your life.